G'day boys and girls, welcome back to boostgumps with another one of our after school projects, what we've dubbed the Lionfish. So putting this barra into a VS. If you missed the first episode, I'll make a link or something so you can go watch it. But we did start by pulling it out of the Falcon. Since we left that episode, we've had a few developments. So I sent the loom down to Sam there at Whitey's Wiring in Clontarf. I actually ended up sending the whole engine loom down to him. I had to pull it all off and send it down, which is awesome. There's no one I'd rather have doing the loom for this project, so that's great. Really glad that Sam's being part of the project. His wiring, he does really nice work, and I really enjoy it. And all of his cars that ever come here from Whitey's Wiring usually don't have any issues, so I'm really excited about that. Big thank you to all of you who are pointing out about the GFB drop-in fuel pressure rig. Now that I know that exists, I will likely definitely be getting one of those. So that just replaces this little durber. We can bump up the fuel pressure to like 5 bar, which we'll probably need to run the boost we want to run. So apart from that, I also decided to take the converter down to ASNU on the south side, ASNU transmission. So I don't know what they're called, something like that, but they're just gonna cut open that converter and try and get as much stall out of it for me as they can. So we're just gonna be working on as much stall as I can get out of that stock converter, with my turbo set up on this thing. Most of you know the plan. So that's pretty much what we're at. So there's a few more things that I can go on with, a few more developments that have been made. I've got a weld-in bung for the sump for this thing for my turbo drain, which needs to go in. I need to start looking at new seals for the front, for the top cover, because it's leaking like crap. A few little things like that to do, so thought we'd get it up on an engine stand and start doing that. I've also got my turbo manifold there. I've got to pull a stud out of that, so let's get in to do it. It's late, it's really late, and it's late, mostly it's late. Do that. I noticed I've done a lot of cleaning up in this area of the shed as well, which is nice. Means we can actually get at stuff now when we need to, which is handy, particularly when you're like us and you're always fighting for some room, always short on space. So I've actually only just had the thought just now of the fact that I need to order the lines and fittings to make my turbo feed line, which I had forgotten about. There's always fun, there's always more to do, isn't there? But if you missed this in the build series, I've got my conversion kit from Muscle Garage here, Tough Mounts Muscle Garage, whatever you want to call it. So we've got our conversion kit ready to go. That's one piece of the puzzle. I've got here, this is a new gasket kit for the cam cover, because like all barras, this thing just leaks more oil than it. New sun gasket for when I weld in my new Durba Licky. New rear main seal, I decided I was going to do one of them while I'm at it. Well, just putting everything on the same pallet's a really good idea until you want to get stuff off it. Then it's a terrible idea. Hey, one barra. Look at that. Oh, I swear the casters on this engine crane are just the worst things ever. Alright, so that's one far less fruitful pallet now. So this here I dug out the other day. This is the turbo that I'm going to be using for this project. As you can see there, we've got some wapses nesting in here, which pretty sure that makes it faster. Look at that, KKR 660. This was Chinese turbo before Chinese turbo was cool. That's how old these are. So this is a T3.8. So it's basically the size of a 35. It's pretty much a T3.8 3582. Is essentially what it is. So yeah, hoping that would go pretty well. Should do alright. So this actually came off the first iteration of my beige R31 before I went to the Chinese high mount 3076 way back when I first bought it. So I took this off just because it was too big for the setup. It was really laggy. I had a problem with the wastegate as well, which actually contributed mostly to the lagginess. So nothing wrong with the turbo, it operated fine. Just wasn't what I wanted for that setup, so I changed it. So this should work pretty well for the Barra. I'm hoping, like, because this is going to make boost early, coupled with my converter, I'm sort of hoping to really try and make most of my power sort of well before 5,000 RPM. I figure if I can jam like 12 PSI in with this thing in those earlier RPM, I'm hoping that valve springs won't be such a big issue, and nor will hopefully injection with the stock injectors. So I'm hoping my sort of 12 PSI, maybe 10 to 12 PSI out of this thing up until that 5,000 RPM, I'm hoping it'll do it all right with a heap of fuel pressure and no aftermarket valve springs. But I know that after that 5,000 RPM at those sorts of boost pressures, I know the valve springs are going to start getting unhappy, and I know we're probably going to start running out of fuel. But that being said, at those sorts of RPM on a 4 litre with this housing in this turbo, we're going to be starting to choke it up a bit anyway. So that's pretty much my plan, is to try and make a bit of power down low, put like a good ratio diff in it, a 3.7 or a 3.9, probably a 3.9. And you know, it won't be a horsepower queen, it won't be a dyno queen, but the way I'm hoping to have it set up, the way I hope it makes power and the gearing I want it to have, it should be quite an actual quick car. Should be quite fast. Especially the VS doesn't weigh a whole heap as well. They're moderately light, so should be good. Anyway, that's why I decided to bite the bullet and get the converter done, because although I'm not spending the money on the engine combo or the fuel system to make this car have power, the diff and the converter are going to be what makes this car fast. So that's pretty much the plan. So if I can make, you know, 360, 370 wheel, which if I can get the boost pressure I want into it out of that thing, should be a walk in the park, I'll be stoked. But it should be quite a quick car for that sort of power. So I am excited, to say the least, and hoping that I don't blow it up. Alright, so now I've got to get a stand to put this heifer on. Something I can take weight. So I've made a terrible mistake and put this on absolutely the wrong way around. So now I've got to try and do the old twisties to get it on the stand, which, being all chains, it doesn't really like. Oh well, what do you do? So I'm hoping to have my converter back next week, and I'm hoping that that'll hopefully get Sam moving on the loom so that he can have it back to me soon. My plan is to try and get pretty much the motor and box in the car ready to go, so that when the loom gets back in the car, we're on our way. Sam's a very busy guy, does a lot of work, so I figure it's going to take a little while. Hopefully if I start releasing some of this content, he'll get a move on. Alright, flow will be gone. I'll take this dowel off as well, because the engine stand head things don't fit over it, so that's not very cash money. And when I was talking before about that's going to make this car fast, by fast I definitely meant quick. That's what I meant, and there is a difference. So before everyone yells at me, I meant quick. It's going to make this car quick, not fast. Oh, not bad. Bloody hell, it looks like the rear main seal was probably the only thing on this engine that wasn't leaking. So maybe I won't even bother replacing it. Seems like I'd be more likely to disturb it. Dry as a bone in there. Dry as. It's everywhere else that's leaking, not the frickin' rear main. Oh, look at that, we've got a wasp nest. Whoops. They just love to get into frickin' everything. Absolute pests. So sorry if I sound a bit flat in this video, guys. It's pretty late at this point, and I'm pretty tired. It's been a big day already. It's been a big week. Every week's a big week, but we just need to keep getting busy. And we just decided the only way we're ever going to get any of this crap done is if we do it in the night time. Fuck's sake! Look at that, fell out. Anyway, you don't need to see this, and I'm nearly out of memory on the GoPro, so it's going to be magically done in a minute. Well, look at that. it's magic, so I understand, which is awesome. So if I'm more inclined to do what I have to do to it now. That's the sway bar that comes with the conversion kit, so it's literally all there. So this thing won't be coming off the stand now until it's going back in the car, which will hopefully be towards the end of next week when I get the converter back. Hopefully we can start looking at getting this in the car, although it will look a lot more ready at that point because it will have a turbo attached to it. So anyway, that's going to be it for this for tonight. We'll move on to this later in the episode. For now, I want to try and get my turbo manifold ready, and we've got a bit of a issue to overcome. Let's go have a look. Alright, so this is how much I've decided I hate myself tonight. Decided instead of doing anything even moderately enjoyable, we're going to try and get a snapped stud out of this here factory Barra Turbski manifold. What a dream. So anyway, I've been soaking this for the past couple of weeks just in WD-40. So I guess the first thing I'll try is the old center punch and a drill and an easy out, and failing that I'll do the old weld the nut onto it trick, and hopefully either of those works, because after that I'm out of ideas. Alright, so I've got myself my punches, a little lumpy, some drill bits, some easy outs, a shifter, some liquid encouragement, and some of my finest 9 o'clock and the 9 PM work boots, ready to go. So, for those of you who don't know, doing this sucks and you should avoid it at all costs all the time. But if you must, try and easy out something like this. It's very important that you drill the hole in the center, which is why we center punch these things before we drill them. Unfortunately for me, the center punch doesn't really work very well because my eyes and my judgment are terrible. So usually it just means I center punch the hole off center. But anyway, what do you do? I'll give it my best shot. That doesn't look too bad. At least hopefully work the drill bit to where I want it. Might have to try that size first, I think. Ooh. We'll start small. Plenty of unicorn piss to help it along. Alright, see if I can break one of these cheap ass easy outs, eh? That hole's only just big enough. Alright, let's go. You get to this point, you pretty much pray. Yeah, I don't think that's budging, eh? That's definitely going to break this easy out before it budges, so let's try a size bigger, I think. Oh yeah, you can see where it was starting to stretch that. That was no good. Alright, to try the easy out size bigger, which means a bigger drill bit. And then failing that, you have to get the welder out. You'd have thought these would be sharp, these shards. Yeah, what? Stop it, Don't leave me alone. Oh, you bloody prick. Yeah, that would happen. I would do that. That's something I would fucking do. And this one would be absolutely blunt. Oh, this is pretty much literally the worst thing ever. Oh, I'm trying to get this flapping stud out of this flapping manifold, aren't I?
Oh yeah, heaps of flapping fun.
Heaps of flapping fun. All hope is not lost. Brought it back. Alright, let's go. Let's go, stud. Let's make it happen. Yeah, look, I don't think it's moving.
I reckon you're going to need heat to try and loosen it.
Here, I can try and heat it as it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Try and get some heat into something.
Let's get the blowtorch. Woohoo! Let's go, buddy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the easy out first so that it doesn't get freaking hot and end up just pretty much severing the end of the easy out. Because that happens. So I'll have the easy out set aside, ready to go, and we'll heat it up from there. Alright, excuse me. Scare the crap out of me. Let's go, sir. Ah, this is going to be a while. Alright, let's see if this puppy will budge. So, now it's very hot. I've got to be very careful not to touch the bastard. Whoop. Let's go. But boy. No, still not gonna frickin' budge. Alright. Time to start a new idea. Alright, here's a little trick that I learnt on TikTok. Hey? TikTok's handy, tell you that. Alright, so the concept's meant to work two ways. Obviously, firstly, get a nut to try and get the stud off, which is handy. Secondly, obviously the heat from the weld is meant to expand and then shrink what's left. So it sort of works twofold in that it's then meant to be, you know, easier to get it out. However, if you don't do it right, which is usually what happens, you end up with a situation like this, where you'll likely just turn the nut straight off. I'm gonna need a freaking big spanner. So I'm pretty sure that because I didn't have the welder turned up high enough, that this is just gonna turn the nut straight off. Yep, just like that. So I'll try again. This time, we'll have the welder hotter. Ah, see, that was cooking. That's glowing a bit nicer. See how that goes, eh? Not bad. Hopefully that's working a bit better this time. It's even deformed the crap out of the nut, that one, so. Oh. Oh no, that felt so good too. Oh, we're getting closer. It's getting better every time. I believe in us. One more go. So ideally in this situation, you have just a little bit of the stud left protruding, which makes this a lot easier to do. What I'm trying to do here, where the stud's broken like inside the flange, makes it a bit harder. Sounds like the wire feed is struggling there. Oh, I don't know. I don't think that felt any better than the last one. It's freaking hot enough though. It's like deforming the fucking... The nuts are deforming, it's that hot, so. Alright, so I'm at the last course of action, pretty much the last resort, which is to drill it out to as big as I can before starting to affect the actual threads, and then run a tap down it. Hopefully we can get a tap started and clean it out. So fingers crossed we can make that happen. Ugh. Bit hard to see there, but it's come out alright. Alright guys, so I've managed to get it to a point where it should be pretty usable, particularly with just a stud. Should hold a stud pretty well. I think I ended up just drilling it out and sending a tap down it. The only thing I'd sort of like to do if I could would be send a bottoming tap down there, but we don't have a bottoming tap, we've only got a starter tap, but it should be okay. We've got most of it out, the threads don't look too bad, it should hold up, so that's awesome. It's been an absolute crap job, an absolutely crap night. So that's all I've got time for on the GoPro, and that's all I've got patience for tonight. I'm very tired, so I'm gonna go to bed. But we'll keep on going throughout the week. Keep on chipping away, getting this thing ready to go into the mighty Commodore, the Lionfish. This has taken a very long time with a lot of swearing. It's been pretty much the worst thing ever.